Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode 12 of the RBNY UK podcast, brought to you by Big Apple Sports Network. My name is Scott Humphries, and as always, I'm joined by my very good friend Luke. Luke, good evening, how are we?
Good evening, I'm not too bad. I'll be honest, it's not a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. So it's going to be quite depressing tonight, I think.
I'm often very excited for our podcast, but I think after recent results, it's only the guest that I'm looking forward to this week, really.
Yeah, if you're looking, sorry to forget. Except we now, I think it's episode 12 now.
Episode 12, indeed.
So 12, and it's a bit of a bizarre one tonight because we're going to be joined by an Englishman. He's a Red Bull fan, but unlike us, he's actually no, not you.
Oh,
you're not a special guest. You'll never be special. I love you a lot. And it's going to be joined by the Englishman in New Jersey. Shortly, Keith Bryan will be calling in from Fairlawn, New Jersey. Shortly, are you excited?
Oh, absolutely. I think Keith is living our pipe dream at the minute. Being able to be at all the games.
Well, you could say that, but I think he'll probably disagree out for the recent games he had to go to, and the Miami game. He'd probably think he'd rather be in our situation, but we're at home. So, but been quite disappointed in a couple of games. Let's be quite blunt. No win in the last two. You've got to draw against quite a poor Cincinnati team. You should win against that lot, shouldn't you?
Look, I think you look at the game against New England Revolution, losing 3-2. I think we've got to be really frustrated there. But at least at the end of that game, you go, well, I didn't expect much. But to draw against Cincinnati, I just think it's a moment where we really need to be worrying a little bit more.
Yeah. Without further ado, roll the titles.
Roll.
Got special ones today.
Welcome to the RBNY UK podcast, Englishmen in New Jersey.
Wow.
You like that?
Wow. Wow. Feel very important after that.
I thought, I'll get on that. I get Englishman in New York. Sorry, Sting. It's always Englishman in New Jersey.
Yeah, what was it? Sting? I think Sting's song, right? Englishman in New York,
yes.
Right?
Yeah,
well, guys, it's a real pleasure to get the chance to actually, see you and hear you and speak with you. It's I think you've done a tremendous job over the last few months, and I've really enjoyed seeing your podcast, and so kudos to you. Great job.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Keith. Keith, I definitely think that you are somebody that we've been trying to get on for quite a while, to be honest, because you really do fit our narrative quite well.
Yeah. It's I was going to wear a black armband today. Actually, that's how I feel after the last two games. But I've been a long time supporter of this club. Actually, went to the very first game in '96. I was trying to work out the other day how many home games I've missed between the Metro Stars and the Red Bull tenure, and I think it's about 7. So that's not bad in 25 whatever years it was, right? And most of them are because of illness or something. So, and I've been to a lot of away games too. But it's interesting because when I came here, guys, I came here in '84, right? So when I came here, there was no soccer. Or we call it soccer here. I don't know why, but there was no soccer here, no football.
Yeah.
And you're going to remember that the internet and the TV channels weren't showing soccer. Okay. Very occasionally they put on the FA Cup final or something like that. And so at 96, when all the press started going to Major League Soccer, I jumped at it and I thought, oh, well, this is going to be great. Right. And so I went down to Giant Stadium in that first game and it was dreadful. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness me. It was dreadful. It was, they had silly jerseys. They had, it was a plastic turf field with American football lines. They had, every game had to have a winner. So instead of a penalty shootout, they had this shootout thing, which you had 5 seconds to run at the goalkeeper and score, right? You know, and it was just dreadful. It was dreadful. The referees were even worse. But there was something about it which made me go back the next week and the next week, and it did get better. And then, you know, when I look at that and see where MLS is today, you know, I think they've done a tremendous job. You know, MLS is what it is. It was looked on as a joke at the beginning. Then it became a bit of a retirement league, you know, where some aging players would come over and make a paycheck. And now, you know, it's a league where players come to play, and it's a league where teams across the country, across the world, are recruiting young players out of the league. And you know, Tyler Adams is a good example. So it's come a long way, guys.
Definitely. You said it was dreadful. Was it quite as dreadful the last game with 0-0 against International last night?
Well, let's talk about it. First of all, a New England game.
Yeah.
I always hope to win, but I didn't expect us to win that game. Okay, New England are on a tear right now. Seattle and New England, they're playing very well. I didn't expect us to win, but when we were up 1-0 and then up 2-1, right, with a few minutes left, I thought, oh, I think we're going to do okay here. And then just fell apart. And I tell you what made me very angry, more angry than the result, was in the third minute. We had 5 minutes of extra time at the end of that game. And in the third minute of extra time, we were awarded a corner kick. Yeah. Who took the corner kick? I'll tell you. Barlow did. Right? Our only striker on the field, right, took the corner kick. And 30 seconds later, we got a throw in right by the corner flag. Who took the throw in? Barlow. Okay. Now, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to know that if you only have one pure striker on the field, he should be in the box somewhere receiving that corner kick. He shouldn't be the one taking that corner kick, right?
Yeah.
And I got more angry about that, I think, than the loss, because it was bad on him, bad on the team, telling him to get in the box, bad on the coaching, whatever. So yesterday, the Cincinnati game, I said, it can't be as bad as that. We're going to come out fighting. We're going to come out. But, oh, my goodness me. We were really flat. Well, I think we had one shot in the first half, hit the crossbar. But apart from, I think the final stats were something like 24 shots, only 4 on goal, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know where those shots were. I think they're behind me on the upper tier. But we were flat. We were lethargic. No energy. No. There was nothing. There was nothing. And it was very disappointing. It was very disappointing. And I just don't understand why we at a home game come out like that, so flat. No ideas. We couldn't string 2 passes together last night. It was just dreadful. So
I mean, I did not start to watch it because I think it's a 1 o'clock kickoff time here, and I work next morning. So
no, I don't blame you. I will say this: we've been hit the last couple of months with some very strange situations. We've had some strange kickoff times. We had a Saturday at 6 o'clock. We had last night and a Wednesday. We had a couple of rainouts. The rainouts. So we've been hit with that. But I can tell you that ironic, but yesterday the season ticket holders got their renewal notice for next season.
Yeah, I got mine.
Okay, right. And I can tell you by speaking to quite a number of people last night who've been long-time season ticket holders, they're not coming back. They're not coming back, right? the crowds were dwindling before COVID. COVID made a huge dent. Now we have a team that's not winning, and people have just fed up, right? So I think forget about the team, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think the organization itself has a huge problem getting people into the seats to watch this film.
Yeah.
I mean, do we tarps the whole stadium next year? Is that the next step?
Well, they put those tarps up, which were stupid. They said they were doing that because they're going to do construction, right? That was the reason they told us. But of course, all the tarps have gone now, and everything's empty. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But I will just sorry. I just say one thing. When we had Henry and Cahill, that was the good side back then, right? We only had 2 sellouts. Only two sellouts, even during that tenure. Okay, so they bought a couple of big names in. Obviously, Henry was more well known than Cahill, but they bought a player in. But we only had 2 complete sellouts during that time, right? Yeah. So it is a tough audience. It's a tough market, but in regard to marketing and stuff like that, it's just non-existent.
I think that's the thing. Like we got a ticket here. We got one next year. I'll be honest.
By the way, I want to commend you because you give it away if you can't comment. You give it away to people. That's really nice of you. I really commend you for that.
Well, I can't use it. I'm stuck here for now. And I've been honest. I was in the last podcast that might not probably come. It looks like it could change. I referred people from America came over to England. You don't know if you saw that on the news, Scott.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's hopefully something. Hopefully, I'm going to start to slowly relax them. So I might go with this year. But I pay a lot. We paid, I think, $300 for a ticket. I might be able to go once or twice. So I don't know if I want to next year. I haven't decided.
By the way, the price of the ticket, right? It's probably one of the best deals.
Oh yeah, not bad at all.
For example, I was going to go to Miami for the game. Was it next week or the week after, or whatever? Right? Their basic ticket price for a game is $74. Okay, for away supporters, they give us a ticket for $45. Okay, we offer away supporters tickets for $15. Just to tell you. Okay, so yeah, they're charging, people in the street $75 a game to watch that garbage. So it's David Beckham's racking in the money, but they're awful. But they're probably the worst team in MLS right now. But $75 a game, unbelievable.
It's a pity, real that money we didn't invest in people who actually know how to know MLS. You can't have 5 GPs. That'd be really handy if people who in the front office actually knew that.
But how did they get away with it for the whole season? That's what we were asking. They did it. They got away with it. Yeah, they got a fine or anything after it, but they did it for the whole season. Did they realize they were doing it? It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't want to be too controversial here, but David Beckham.
Yeah,
David Beckham get away with a lot of things.
That's how they got away with it. They got away with it because of David Beckham.
He's David Beckham.
Yeah, they call
money to MLS.
Yeah, they call it the Beckham rule actually here in MLS.
Yes, I do. Of course, DP was originally brought in to Beckham.
But one thing about Beckham,
would do that.
Yeah, I like Man United, so I was a huge Beckham fan and an England fan, and I think he was a great player, better player than people actually give him credit for, actually. But he was a great player, surrounded by good players. And when he came here, I was shocked when he came here. I was more shocked at him coming here than Henry, actually. But he came to play, right? He didn't come to retire, right? No. He did more from the MLS in the 4 or 5 years that he was here than I think any other player has. Okay, He was an ambassador. He was on these shows, talk shows and talking it up and the whole thing. The day he signed, they sold $7 million worth of LA Galaxy jerseys with his name on. $7 million.
It's the most common kit you ever see in England.
Yeah,
$7 million jerseys.
Now it's more Miami now.
right?
David Beckham, but till Miami came in, it was Galaxy simply because of.
So I'll tell you a funny story. They came to the first game at the old Giant Stadium to play us. I call it the 5-4 thriller, right? So they came, and we had about 64,000 people there. Right? Now you got to remember, prior to that, most games we had 15 to 20,000 people in a huge, stadium, Giant Stadium. So there was 65,000 people. I would say 35,000 of them were wearing Beckham jerseys, right? They were there to see Beckham, but the atmosphere was fantastic, right? I said to my son, who was, he's 26 now, but he was younger at the time. I said, we've got to have some fun with David Beckham. What do you think we should do? He says, he's just coming here for the money. So I said, okay. So we got a whole trash bag full of fake dollar bills with his picture on it. Okay. And we were standing in the front row up by the tunnel. So when the players came out, we tossed all fake money all over David Beckham as it came out. I got video of it somewhere. It was funny as heck, people were laughing. Fake money, he's pushing off the money. And of course, that was one of the best games actually we've ever had, and Juan Pablo Angel popped in the winning goal, and we won 5-4. It was a heck of a game. But then he ended up throwing my son his jersey after the game. So, that was pretty nice. And when they came back, UK came back to play in the Gold I think it was Panama they played. I think it was Panama. We were sitting in the same places, and again he recognized me and recognized my son, and threw him his warm-up jersey. So he's a decent guy, but I think he did a lot for MLS actually.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he definitely grew the league in England, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Should we move slightly off to the present subject of and
yeah. Obviously this season's it's not going particularly fantastic at the minute, and we're all a little bit doom and gloom. I'm really, really struggling with the last couple of games. I just think it's really so poor. Where are you at in your thoughts at the minute? Do we hit panic mode now? Is this okay? Now we're in crisis, or is this just a wave that we feel that we might have to ride?
Yeah, I think the season's done. To be honest with you, if they were going to make moves, they had to do them by today. Today is the end of the transfer window today. So there was a rumor that we're going to give Flo Valo over to Cincinnati for a defender, but I don't think that happened. If it has, it's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. We do. It's interesting. We were talking about some of this last night. This club was on a roll, right? 2 supporter shields in 5 years. Had a great coach, Jesse Marsh, who I thought was absolutely fantastic. And all of a sudden, they take him away mid-season. I wish he'd stayed to the end of the season, because I think we would have won the supporter shield again. They took him away, and ever since then, that time, this team has been on a downward spiral, right? They put Chris Armas in there. I know Chris. I've known Chris a long time. Lovely guy, but it's not head coach, right? And of course, he went on and obviously he just got canned a few weeks back again. We got rid of people like Dax McCarty and Sasha Kleshkin and Bradley Wright Phillips and Robles, and replaced them with nothing, right? You can't take a Bradley Wright Phillips, 24 goals a season, right, and replace him with Brian White or Tom Barlow, right? You can't do that. Okay? Well, you can, but it's not going to work, right? I watched Bradley last week playing for the Crew. He was running around, playing really well. I would have taken him, come off the bench last night for the last 20 minutes, for example, right? Would have been good. Look at Mark, my friend Mark.
Is he wrong? I don't know. I wouldn't say he is.
No, I don't think he is wrong. No.
I mean, they're just not very good.
Just he has laid money that I don't mention how much I dislike Sean Davis, so I'm not going to talk about Sean Davis because he'll get all upset with me. But anyway, we digress. And what we've done is replaced all this talent, right, with young, inexperienced. Yes, they have talent. Yes, and some of them may go on and do very well, but they're young, they're green, they don't have any experience. It's an experiment, as it were, right? We have an RB2 team to do that, right? Davis, Lade, Mira, Adams, they all played on the USL team, right? Yeah. And they won a USL championship, and then they moved on to the first team. So maybe that's where they get their idea from. Maybe they think they can do it again. But, the talent pool has gone way, way down. I mean, last night, they're asking for the player of the game. I normally text in the player of the game. I had to sit there for 10 minutes to think, I gave it to Edwards because I think Edwards is probably the last few weeks has played better out of position than any other player on the team, right? So we have nothing. High expectations with a new coach this year, high expectations. But it's the same thing again, always saying, oh, we have the press, we have the way we play. They got to learn this, they got to learn that, they got to learn that. And it's just not working. And I'm going to ask you something. I'll ask you guys a question, right? I mean, Struber is an intelligent guy, right? Good coach. Doesn't he realize that he doesn't have the tools? Or is he just not saying it because he doesn't want to upset corporate? I don't understand.
Thing is, there's no doubt about it. Struber is a Red Bull man through and through. He is Jesse March. Like Jesse March is Red Bull through and through.
Fantastic, right?
Red Bull, if you do well at Red Bull, they'll look after you. Like, prime example is Jesse March. And Struber left. Struber threatened to leave Barnsley because he wasn't going to give him money. So, and they spent £5.5 million on Kamala this year. So it has spent money, but not in the right place. We've got rid of Tim Parker, which I was for them to get rid of Tim Parker. I thought the time was right. But when Amlong goes down, pretty early in the season, we are now. It's David deadline day tomorrow. It's soon.
It's today.
Today, and we still haven't got a replacement centre back. I love Tom Edwards. We love Tom Edwards here.
Sure, I do too. Long and Parker together a couple of seasons ago were playing like they were going to be the next back line for the US national team. Okay, yeah. They were that good. Tim had a little bit of a injury for a while, came back, but they were solid, and I was really happy with that defense. We had Kemal Lawrence, we had Aaron Long, Tim Parker. We were never able to fill the other spot for some reason, right? I always said put Alex Mule there because he was the best. He would have been the best place, but they never. They did put him there one game, and he played really well, which is interesting. But anyway, I disagreed. I don't think we should have got rid of Parker. He's now the captain over there. He's doing extremely well, by the way, and nice guy. The big injury to Aaron Long really hurt us this year, but we haven't found a replacement.
If I could interject a sec, the Tim Parker situation, I don't know whether to say livid or devastated. I'm not quite sure which end of the spectrum I was at the time. I say that Tim Parker is an MLS lifer. He's never going to go to Europe. He's never going to go anywhere else. He's going to stay in the division. He's a New York native. He screams captain material. He screams, give him a 5-year contract, let him retire here. And I think the money we got from him as well was I know by MLS standards, money's just monopoly money anyway, but he wasn't a good fee. And I just didn't understand it, especially with Long being forever linked with a move to one of many, many clubs in Europe. I thought it made perfect sense to build a back line around Parker, and then being able to keep hold of Long would have been a benefit on top of that. And we really have paid for the lack of
Yeah.
for that mistake. I think that's been the biggest
I
error.
100% agree with everything you said. And he walked into this new club. They gave him a new 3-year contract. He's a club captain, and they love him. And inside story: my son Matthew, his fiance, have got into soccer now because he's been bringing it to the games. Well, she just fell in love with Parker, right? Just fell in love with the guy. So of course she got his jersey and the whole thing, and so they bought a little kitten, and it's red. So the kitten's name is Parker, right?
Okay.
right. So there was a signing. He was at a signing event in a liquor store, actually, of all places, down by where they live. So they actually went to see him and have a picture of the cat Parker on his jersey, and they've signed it and everything. And so MSG, Madison Square Garden TV, did a little thing about it. And so they always know now as Parker's mom and dad, cat mom and dad, So she was devastated that he left, absolutely devastated. But I agree with you. I think we should have kept him. We should have kept Kimo Lawrence. We should have tried to keep Kimo Lawrence because I thought Kimo was tremendous, and we've made all these mistakes. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to anybody. Why would get rid of players and not replace them with anything? Money's fine, but then buy something with it.
Yeah,
but they don't.
That's what it is. The money's being spent, but it's being spent in wrong areas. And we've brought in this year, obviously, the young lad from Celtic, Harper. Now Harper obviously seems to be a talent for the future, but he primarily plays in wide areas, and we don't play a wide formation. And you look at that and you think, well, I'm not entirely sure as to why we've gone and put money into an exciting young lad when he's not. It doesn't fit what we're trying to do.
Well, there's one worse than that. Jurgensen.
Oh God. We were talking about this last week.
I go to all the
£5 million.
I go to all the Red Bull 2 games, by the way. So we have one on Friday. So last Red Bull 2 game, he was on the bench, and he came on for the last 8 minutes and touched the ball once. Right. So he's running around like he complete clueless. And he's lost some weight, so he's very thin, skinny. His shirt hangs down. He doesn't even look like a football player, right? But they're paying $1 million so for this guy. So I don't get it. Unless he's a relative to someone in Germany, maybe that's what he is. I don't know. But Kamala, the jury's still out on Kamala.
I think there's something.
I like that.
Let's not.
Well, Mark is he's all a Rebel 2 a fan with me. We sit together at the game, so he's and I can't get Mark going on that. But the one player I was very excited about was Edwards. The other guy I was very excited about was Yearwood. All right. But there was something amiss. It took him 5, 6, 7 games to get fit enough to actually be on the field. Then we had a couple of games, and he was like a red card waiting to happen. I don't know what that was all about. And then the last couple of performances, he was just been way off. Last night he was nowhere. He was like lost. I don't know what the answer is. I do know what the answer is, but they're not going to do it. It seems to me that corporate have decided they want to get a youth regime and build from within, right? And then anybody who's a real big star, they're going to sell off to Leipzig or Salzburg, and that's not going to keep the New York fans happy, not at all.
I think like New York, like if you look at all the New York teams, the Giants, the Yankees, New York people, fans of New York sports want success. All the teams are successful. 25 years is has not helped it.
Well, the Nets weren't for a long time, but they went out and bought some superstars and became successful, right? But New York is a very fickle sports market, right? Very, very. I've been at football Giants games, when in the first 2 quarters they're booing the quarterback every time he touches the ball. All right, and then in the third quarter he'll throw a touchdown and they cheer him, for the rest of the day, right? So it's very fickle. But there's not only a New York mentality; it's an American mentality. I can say that because I'm not American, but winning is very important for them, very important, right? But in certain cities, it's more important than other. New York is a town that if you win, the Yankees, if you win a World Series, or the Giants win the Super Bowl, or the Devils win the Stanley Cup, this whole town the whole area is alive, right? It's crazy. You'll see everybody wearing the Devils jersey, because the Devils won the Stanley Cup. Everybody wearing a Giants jersey because they won the Super Bowl. It's huge. We've never had that with the Rebels, even with Henri. We've never had that. And we don't get a lot of press. So that's the other thing. One of the biggest issues I have with this area is we don't get any press coverage, really. No press coverage at all. Maybe an inch and a half, sometimes in the New York Daily News or Post or whatever. But and the Jersey papers, they cover it, but they're more excited about the girls soccer than they are than don't get me started on that. But
that's a bit like it's about the press, because I do quite a lot with New York Times, actually, in my job now.
Mm-hmm.
With media partner in the New York Times, so I do quite a lot with them. And they very rarely report on I don't think ever report on Red Bulls. And obviously, the New York Times is one that institutes from New York. It's like the Metro for Underground is New York Times in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And you think how many people you might pick up from that sort of exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, it's a bit, the team doesn't help itself sometimes in marketing terms.
Mm-hmm.
That's safe to say, that Red Blanket doesn't help itself. But I think there's a lot more to it. It's not clear and cut saying, well, the team's not doing enough. Not sometimes, but it's a lot more complicated rather than just being a clear cut.
When we won the supporter shield,
yeah,
a lot of bars going around. I think we did it in record manner, 71 points or something, the highest amount of points, or what I think it was, right? So all of a sudden we start seeing advertisements in the papers and stuff, right? And I think Red Bulls paid for a full page color type picture in one of the newspapers, and it got some buzz, right? This is how bad it is here in New York. Last weekend, they rented out the stadium to some foreign teams for a doubleheader on Sunday. Honduras teams, and I think it was Guatemala or something. And there were all-out riots there, right? Police SWAT teams had to come in. There were fights. I think there were 12 people stabbed. It was just crazy, right? The front page of all the papers. Red Bull Arena fights. Red Bull Arena fights. Rebel Arena. So that's the press we got. Bad press, right?
Yeah.
But the night before we were playing, they wouldn't talk about the game that we lost to New England, 3-2. But a lot of press about Rebel Arena, soccer hooligans, SWAT teams, police called in. 240 extra police came in, and then the videos online. You probably saw them, right? Videos online of all the fighting and stuff. So it's interesting. The biggest thing I would say, guys, is the arena is built in Harrison, which is Newark, right? There's a huge population there of soccer-loving fans, right? Portuguese. There's a huge Portuguese community. You have a Colombian, right? Mexican, whatever. They don't follow the team at all. They have no interest in it. They don't like it. But as I said, when you play a Mexican team or a Portuguese team, they'll fill out the stadium. They'll come and watch it. But they don't like MLS for some reason. And I don't get it. I don't get it, because if you like soccer, right? And that's your team. I don't understand it. The U.S. national team obviously struggles to find an arena for home field advantage, right? Because wherever they go, If they play Mexico, they have 75,000 Mexicans and 10,000 US, right, wherever they go. Just, I went to the Gold Cup final a few years ago in Giant Stadium. There was 75,000 people in there. There was about 7,000 US fans, and there were 70,000 Mexican fans throwing crap at us and batteries and ice cubes and all sorts of stuff. And it was crazy. Absolutely crazy. There's a disconnect somewhere between MLS. Only in New York, other cities it's not so bad, but there's a disconnect for if you build a stadium in a Portuguese community, you think you attract. Maybe go and get a Portuguese player, right? Maybe sign a Portuguese player. Maybe they'll come out and watch, right? Maybe sign a Colombian player that'll come out and watch. Maybe sign a Mexican player, that can watch. I don't know what, but they don't do that. Huh?
We tried that with Rafa Marquez. Don't get too well.
Don't get me going. Don't get me started.
We're going to take a quick little break now.
All right.
And after the break, we'll be talking about Keith's journey from England to New Jersey and how Robles went from Giant Stadium to a wonderful home in Harrison, New Jersey, Red Bull Arena. So stay tuned after this short little break.
Welcome back to the RBNY UK podcast. We are still joined by the wonderful Keith Brown. Looking into it in a bit more detail now. Obviously, you're not an American native, Keith, and we'd really like to hear the story of how it started, how you ended up in America, and then how that first sort of nuance and excitement about MLS and the Metro Stars started for you.
Yeah, super. By the way, I'm getting texts from people saying I'm doing a good job, so I don't know. I didn't pay them either, so it's pretty interesting. So people are watching, people are listening. I grew up in Barnet in North London, okay? And my home was right across the street from Underhill Stadium where Barnet played. Okay, they don't play there anymore. They pulled it down. And at night when the floodlights were on, my bedroom would light up because that's how close I was. Right. So right from an early age, I used to go in, sneak in to practice and watch practice. And then when I was about 9 or 10, 11 years old, one of the managers got hold of me and said, "If you're going to be here every night, I'll put you to work." So he used to get me putting the towels out in the locker room and filling the bucket with water for the trainer and getting the tea for a whole thing. And it was just, and I just fell in love with football at an early age. It was just the whole thing, the smell of the liniment, right, the noise, the click of the cleats or studs, you call them there, but the studs coming down to the concrete onto the grass, the smell of that wet grass, the whole thing. And then, everything about it, I just loved it. I actually loved it. I did play a little bit. I was actually a pretty good goalkeeper till I broke my leg. I used to play in high school. But my life took a different direction. So I went into the military when I was 16 and I was in the Welsh Guards. So I didn't really play much soccer there, but then I joined the Old Bill and I was a cop in London, and I did play for the police team there. So we actually enjoyed some trips to Europe, for France and to Vienna and places playing soccer. But that was a lot of fun. But growing up, my heroes were, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, Jimmy Greaves, those types of people, right? One of the first games my father ever took me to was the World Cup final in '66. I was 11 years old. Went to Wembley. I couldn't see much. I was standing at the back, but I was there. So it was just one of those things, right? Lucky to be there. A few years later, I went to the European Cup final when United beat. Who was it? Benfica, was it? I can't remember. They won there. Anyway, they won the European Cup final. And I was very upset because they came out in blue, all blue, and they were known as the Red Devils, but they wore an all blue strip. I just remember that. Interesting. But and then I traveled around the world a little bit, and I met a young lady who was now my wife, and she came from New Jersey, and so I settled here in Jersey, and started a brand new career. And I've been in IT. I work in the IT space. I'm not a technical person. I'm a operations and business development person. I run a company, help run a company here in the U.S. So made a career doing that. As I said previously, there was no soccer really here, right? And then in '96 it started. And again, it was just it is what it is. It's what we had, so I jumped on board with it. I really did, all out. Back in the early days, the Metro Stars were pretty unique. I thought were pretty unique. They really reached out to the fan base really well. They would have picnics for the fans, and we'd be there with all the players. We sit with all the players, their families. They'd have events for the kids, all sorts of stuff. I mean, I have pictures of my son playing with Tim Howard and Steve Jolly and all those guys that playing hockey with them and playing basketball, and Clint Mathis used to come to my house all the time, so really got to know made friends with these guys, and they did a great job. As the club got bigger, that went away a little bit, but then we really didn't have much success. We never made the MLS Cup. Now, I disagree with a lot of my friends who say that the MLS Cup is the most important thing. Maybe because it's the Brit in me, but I think winning the league, the Supporters' Shield, is the most important thing. And I keep telling them, you tell Liverpool it's not important to win the league, right? Right. You tell Man City it's not important, and it's the hardest thing to do too, right? But here it's not looked about. That I look at the MLS Cup as a bit of a like the FA Cup. On its day, anybody can win the FA Cup, right? Right, if you get a good run, right? I think a couple of years ago, Columbus won the MLS Cup. They were the 8th seed, right? The 8th seed, and they ended up winning it. Right, so you don't have to be the best team to win MLS Cup, right? But you have to be the best team in the regular season to win the Supporters' Shield, right? And we won it twice in a couple of years ago. So, we did get to the U.S. Open Cup final. We played Chicago on a Wednesday night, 2,600 people, a wet and dreary night in Giant Stadium. We lost 1-0. So we did get to the final, MLS Cup final. Because we were the Western Division champions. I don't know how we ended up.
I've got a shirt somewhere.
I don't know. I don't know how we ended up in the West, but
Western Conference champions.
Yeah, I don't know, but we didn't play very well that day. But it was a great night, great day out. A great trip, and so there we are. I think the organization that owned the Metro Stars gave up on them on the last couple of years they were there. We had a couple of general managers who were very poor. Lexi Lawless was even our general manager for a while, actually. This guy called Nick Sakewicz came in. He eventually left us, went on to Philly, and now he's the president of the North American Lacrosse League, actually. But him and I had many, many fights in his. I used to go to his office in Harmon Cove in Secaucus and complain, and we used to sit there shouting at each other. But he made all these promises, right, to the league, to the fan base. He made all these promises. In 30 days we're going to do this, and 60 days later, another 20 days. All these promises never happened. But I was surprised when Red Bull came in to buy the organization. I don't drink Red Bull. I drank one can one time and it messed me up. I'm not, I don't like Red Bull. My son and his friends drink enough vodka and Red Bull for me. So but everything they've said they're going to do, they did. They said we're going to build a stadium. They built a stadium. They said they're going to build a USL team. They did that. They said they're going to do a training facility. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been to our training facility. Next time you come, Fernando Ruiz is the head trainer, the kit man, very good friend of mine. We can go down and you'll have a tour of the facility. And I mean, they have a first class facility, right? Any European team that comes in to play in the US practices there. Real Madrid, Inter Milan, right? Juventus, they've all played it. All the foreign national teams, they practice there. It's second to none. The grass is like a pool table, right? Okay, they have 5 or 6 fields. They have a medical facility, X-ray facility, physios, a gym, restaurant. You name it. These guys don't want for anything. Okay, so they've done a tremendous job there. Tremendous. But as we were saying before, there's a disconnect somewhere between the organization and the fan base. And when I say fan base, listen, the people who were there last night on a Wednesday night, they're the guys who are going to go every game anyway, right? Yeah. They're going to go to every game, okay? It's the walk-ups, the families, the mum and dad of 2 kids who want to go out on a Saturday to watch a game, right? They're not attracting those people for some reason. And if they are coming once, they're not coming back again. Right. So it's disappointing. I don't know what the answer is.
When I came over, when I came to watch the game, we went to New York. I went with my dad. My dad had never ever watched MLS before. He has no idea what it's like. And the one thing he picked up was how much it was more like when you go to football in England, you go for the football.
Right.
But in MLS, families go for the day out. We go for a day out, we're going to have food. It's much more of a family day out when it is, let's go and watch the football.
I would say for the diehards it is. I mean, just for the regular guys who just go for one game, they don't understand it. But no, there are some supporters groups. I'm part of that. For a 7 o'clock game, they probably start tailgating at 10, 11 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. And when I say tailgating, they have grills, they cook, they drink, they have kegs. It's all a whole organized event. They have games out there. It's a whole thing. By the time game time, I sometimes wonder how they even know what they're doing. But, the whole tailgate goes on, right? And then after the game, they go back out there and stay out there for another couple hours after the game. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's away trips. I'm part of the Viking Army supporters groups now. For example, a away trip to Philly, for example, right? Let's say it's a 4 o'clock kickoff in Philly. Well, we'll meet at 8 o'clock in the morning for kegs and eggs, right? So, they'll cook us eggs, bacon, sausage, whatever, beer, and a whole thing, and have a huge party there. And then we'll get into 5, 6, 7 buses full of people and drive down to Chester, PA. Get out of there, have a few more beers or whatever, and walk in en masse to it's a great day out, It's a great day, especially if we win, Horrible trip to DC. It's a 3.5, 4 hour bus drive. So, they're drinking all the way down. They stay for the game. It's a horrible trip back though if you lose, 4 hours on a bus if you lose is terrible. So, I think a great day we had a couple of years ago is we went to New York City FC for an away game, and we took about, I think I sent you a picture. I don't know if you have that. We took about 4,000 people with us, and we took over and we won 7-0. Right, that was a great day out, and the whole top deck of Yankee Stadium was all red.
That one weird thing I remember that date. Obviously, I think I was actually out. I think it might have been near my. I was doing something. I think I just finished school.
Right.
And went out. So obviously I couldn't watch it.
Oh boy.
And I went on my phone, and I think a lot at 3-0. And I didn't look again until
the end,
like 2-3 hours later.
Right.
and I saw a result, and it was like 7-0. I thought, what the heck has happened here?
Yeah, it
And
was.
they even made BBC Sport, like
Did
a
it?
huge event. Made BBC Sport made its way over here. It was a huge event, like for a team to lose 7-0 in a derby.
It was a tremendous day out. We had a lot of people, and great singing, great voice, lovely day. Everybody played so well. You know, Bradley scored a couple of dacks. Gonzalo Varane, everybody scored. Matt Miazga became a hero because he went over to the with a baseball bat, you know, the whole thing. And we shut everybody up. It was just a fantastic day out. And when I came home, you know, I felt I went back to my childhood because, you know, I traveled all around Europe watching football. And when you go to a away game and somebody a really good performance and you come home and you feel so good, right? You're tired, but you're happy, right? You know, and it was just a fantastic day out. We've had a few of those, but that springs to mind. You know, we're playing them in a couple of weeks actually, but it's a rather unique situation now because they don't have a stadium, so they've been renting out our stadium. So
that's the little bit of irony there, isn't there? But how
yeah,
the team that all boast about being a New York team and playing City is playing more games in New Jersey this year than.
I think they're playing 9 or 10 of their games here, more home games here than they are.
We've got a photo. We've got the photo we're talking about.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, this one. Do you see that?
There it is. There it is.
It is.
Yeah, I'm actually on the yellow sign. I'm there somewhere. Yeah, that was I mean that's a big away support right there, right?
Yeah.
And you can see it's at the end of the game with the teams coming over to you know salute us and stuff. It was just a fantastic day, man. It really was. But it's a horrible place to play football, though. Horrible.
Oh, terrible,
you know,
place.
The field is too small. All the angles are wrong. I think referees have a hard time picking up, especially the linesmen. They have a hard time picking up the angles. You know, you put a square field or a rectangular field in an oval-shaped building, all the angles are off, right? You know, so you're trying to look for the angles to get the flag for the offside, but the angles don't seem right. You know, so. But you know, anyway, so going back, you know, I became a fan. I was lucky enough that my son Matthew, who when he was about 3 or 4, started very interested in the game, and I took him to all the games with me. He used to sit on my lap, and now he's in charge of the supporters group for the RB2 team. He's soccer crazy. Played in college, and I think, and then he started playing. So I became a coach. I got, you know, USF coaches certificates and stuff to coach him and everything. And then for the last 15 years, I've been a certified referee. So I do all varsity high school games and youth games and stuff like that all across New Jersey. So, you know, soccer is a big part of my life, actually. So, in fact, I just got my schedule. Just got my schedule for this. You know, there's a lot of games I got coming up, so I got to get fit. So, you know, I think I want to ask you something because I'm interested for your perspective from the UK. VAR, right, has been a you know, a bone of contention for a lot of people, especially in England, right, especially in the Premier League. But you know what? The MLS do such a good job with it. They really do, right? And
so
I just
every other tournament apart from Premier League.
And I just wonder why.
Maybe there's something we should read into it. Maybe the referees have a problem. The referees in the Premier League aren't good enough.
Howard Webb is in charge of the referees in the US here, right?
Yeah.
I know I liked Howard. He was a good referee in the UK, right? I don't know why they get it so wrong. I just don't understand.
It's quite mind blowing.
I I did see an announcement yesterday that they're actually going to change some of the rules, right, for VAR in the EPL coming up, right, especially with this close offside and all that sort of stuff. But
no rubbish. I'm not a huge fan of VAR, I'll be honest.
19 Liverpool missed out on 19 points because of fingernails, right? That's what they said, right? They did the analysis of all the offside goals and everything. 19 points, which is huge. I mean,
the thing is, I think the whole idea of VAR is meant to be clear and obvious.
Well, the two things I don't like is clear and obvious, but the linesmen, or ARs we call them now, the AR1, AR2, they keep the flags down, right, until the opportunity's over. I'm a referee. If you're offside, I'm going to put my flag up. You're offside. But now they keep it down, right? And if they score, then they review it. I just think that's a cop-out, right? I mean, if you're doing your job, if you're offside, you're offside.
I think that's the thing that even I go to watch non-league football here. Like, even now, they have to wait until actual play is finished to raise the flag up. You're not going to do VAR normally. It's like, if it's offside,
you're offside.
Bloody flag up. It makes no sense to me.
And the biggest difference between referees here and the UK, by the way, is advantage rule. The advantage rule. They don't understand advantage, right?
I covered that from quite a lot of games I watched. Scott's gone. Scott's having quite a few issues with his connections. So
okay,
we have to pop out.
That's all right. That's all right.
He'll be back soon, I'm sure. So we'll move on quickly to talk about. We're talking a bit about Giant Stadium. I'll be honest, I'm too young to remember Giant Stadium. I became a fan in 2015, long after.
Right.
I kind of fan in 2013, but probably 15. So long after Giant Stadium days. And we got a picture of you here.
Oh boy.
This is you in Giant Stadium.
Yeah, there I am. Yeah.
That's you in Giant Stadium. And also got another one in Giant Stadium. I'm gathering this is you in Giant Stadium.
No, that's in Rebel Arena.
Rebel Arena, okay.
Yeah.
That's my mistake.
You can tell by the Viking Army jersey T-shirt I have on.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm 10-minute drive from Giant Stadium, okay, and a 15-minute drive from Rebel Arena, so really close, right? I actually loved going to Giant Stadium, massive stadium, 60,000, and we never filled the place. The bottom bowl, basically, we had 20 to 25,000 fans in it. There was something about the place, though. I think maybe because the entrance, the players came. I always sat in the front row with my son there. They came out the tunnel. They were right there. We were able to high five them. The whole thing, the atmosphere, the supporters group, as you saw in that picture, big, loud, proud. A lot of stuff. And we had some great games there. Great games. I think the team of Timmy Howard in goal, and then the back line, and you'll know some of these names: Mike Pecky, Steve Jolly, and Danny Hernandez, right?
Yeah.
None of those guys are the best players in the world, right? Okay. But let me tell you something. They played, their heart was on their sleeve. They didn't want to lose, and they played so well. And I used to love those guys. Mike Pecky became a real good friend of mine, especially with my son. When my son wasn't well for a while, and he went out of his way to call him and all that sort of stuff. And for a 5 or 6 year old who loves soccer, that was just like his idol calling him. Yeah, it's just amazing. So I've always been indebted to Pecky for that. And then we have a couple of great players, attacking players through the years. My personal favorite player is Juan Pablo Angel. Okay, this guy was just, to me, was everything. I of course knew Juan Pablo from Aston Villa days, right, and some people knew him from Colombia and everything, but he wasn't heralded as a big superstar when he came here, right? Yeah. Not a lot of people knew him, but what a player! what a gentleman, what a guy, class act. Oh my goodness me, I just love the guy, and he scored some fantastic goals for us.
I think he's like the original legend of Red Bulls.
Correct. Correct.
Before the BWPs.
Correct.
Robles. He's like the original legend.
But he's forgotten now. And when people say, "What's your favorite player?" Now I say Henri, and they say Dukaev or you know whatever, or Timmy Howard or whatever, or Robles or Bradley. He's forgotten, right? His name is on the Ring of Honor on the stadium, right? But my goodness, he was good. Oh my God, you know he.
We're going to take another quick break. We're having some technical issues here.
All right. Okay.
We're going to try and let Scott back on, but not when he'll be in the waiting. We're seeing in a very quick 30 seconds. Hello, welcome back to the RBNY podcast. You may notice if you're watching on the video, Scott is gone. You might have seen we're having quite a lot of difficulties today. Scott, internet's playing out. We're not sure if it's on our side, on StreamYard, of his internet. He can't come back, but we're delighted to be joined by Mr. RBNY UK himself. The original one. He was the one who did way before we did it. We jumped on his bandwagon. Copied his name.
Yeah, but he's wearing a horrible jersey, though, isn't he?
He's legendary. He's a huge Arsenal fan, so you're not going to get very high of that. I think this might be the episode that get the most guests on it, most people on it.
Yeah.
You're full so far.
I hope it was nothing I said. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, no, he's having some technical issues on the computer. His internet's playing up. So he just had to step out. So I think we'll see you next week, Scott. Before we're talking about Giant Stadium and moving from Giant Stadium to Red Bull Arena. Obviously happened in 2010. The first game, of course, we get Santos 3-1. Or am I being correct? We won. I know that. I know Mike Pecky scored.
He did.
And I always think something delicious like that, Mike Pecky scoring, like a legend in Red Bull world.
Do you know why he became a legend, though?
For winning the trophy.
No.
No?
No.
Oh, I'm not going to say.
Go ahead.
Who was it? We took out the Revenge is Coming. Something like that.
Revenge is Coming. Yeah. We had a wonderful gentleman called Mike Ammon, a goalkeeper. Another friend of mine, actually, and he's in IT now, and I actually speak with him on a regular basis. A really good guy. And he was a good goalkeeper. And he received a vicious kick from Mamadou Diallo, who was a thug, and on the field, collapsed lung, broken ribs, collapsed lung, nearly killed him, actually. Ambulance had to come out and the whole thing. It was horrible. And Pecky took exception. A lot of people took exception to that. So anyway, Pecky, next time we played him, took him out, right? And he lifted up his jersey, and he had a white T-shirt underneath which said "Revenge is Sweet," and he got fined for it, I think, or whatever. But anyway, that jersey is hanging up in Legends in New York in a bar. There, it's a frame, right? But ironic, who did the Metro Stars sign? Mamadou Diallo. Okay, and on the first game he scored a hat trick, and so everybody was cheering him. But I think it was about the fourth or fifth game he got a red card, refused to leave the field, and he was cursing and flipping off people and stuff. I threw a bag of ice at him. But anyway, he was a disaster. But that's when Mike Pecky became a legend. You know. Yes. Also in Giant Stadium days, he used to come out to the tailgate before the game and have a beer with the guys before the game, and but that's too much information. But
believe it or not, we don't want to ruin his name. We'll leave it at that. You actually sent me some great photos here.
Oh yeah.
You actually picking out your seat.
I've never
seen Red Bull Arena other than the state. I've seen it.
Yeah, it was great. What they did, they asked us, if we wanted season tickets when we left Giant Stadium, and of course we said yes. And they gave us an event where we could actually go, and here it is. We could actually go to the stadium and pick out the seats we wanted.
Yeah.
So I went. We had to wear a hard hat and the whole thing. All right, and we went, and I picked out the seats. Right behind the goal where we are. They were the same seats from Giant Stadium, the same location. But obviously the tunnel was there. There you go. There you go. Straight from. And by the way, underneath you can see I have a referee jersey on because I just came from a high school game. And we picked out those seats. So it was a nice thing actually, and nice. There it is. It looks very different today, but it was a nice event. So the stadium, at the time when it was built, it was definitely the best stadium in MLS. Best, the grass is superb, by the way. I mean, grass is second to none. It's just great. There's been a couple of other stadiums now, I think, who've surpassed it, a little bit better, but it's still a great stadium. There's not a bad seat in the stadium. You can see everywhere. It's and when it's full and it's very noisy. I've been on the field a couple of times for different things. And that sound really carries, right? Really carries. Some stadiums, the singing, you could be one end under the stadium, you won't hear the singing at the other end of the stadium, right? Because of the way it's built. But here, even last night when we do Let's Go Rebels, we get the whole stadium going last night. It's really loud. It's really loud. But it's interesting where I sit. You know where I sit, right the front row, right behind the goal there, right? We're so close. We hear the players talking all the time. They hear us too, by the way. But they hear last night. They were hearing it, but it's interesting, and it is interesting how. And I think during the COVID time when there was no fans, people were surprised how much the players actually talk to each other. There's a lot of talking going on, right? There wasn't last night, but because that's one thing they weren't talking. But they do a lot of talking.
From breaking news coming through, Flo Below has officially been traded to Cincinnati. That's now official. Okay. He's now a Cincinnati player.
What do we get for him though?
Let me get checked. The jet literally going through now. We've got £50,000 GAM.
Okay.
You could get additional 50,000 if he meets certain performance based metrics.
But no player.
No players. So I would imagine, I don't know, was he taking up a green card? He's French, isn't he? He's not American.
The rumor that we were going to get Cameron in return for him, by the way, that was the rumor last night that we were going to get Cameron, right?
It doesn't say that here.
No, I know. Flo, listen, I like Flo. I actually spoke to him at length 2 weeks ago. He came to the Rebel 2 game. He suited up and played in the Rebel 2 game. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I've got quite friendly with him over the years, especially during his recuperation after his surgeries. He used to sit with us and talk with us. Lovely guy. I mean, just a lovely guy. And to do to go through what he went through with the 2 legs, right? It's bad enough to do one and then he do the other one, right? I actually thought when he was playing on the field that he was a really, really good player. Never the same though since those injuries. You and I have spoken earlier on. We have so many midfield players, right? So many midfield players. So he's not getting a chance to play, right? So if he can keep healthy, and it's, not get injured, he will do very well in Cincinnati. He will. He'll do well.
I think also he was very injury prone. Let's be honest. He had quite a lot of injury issues. But he was a great player. He was so important to that 2018 season. Was a huge player part of that season, and we won the Shield with record points.
Yeah, that was his best season. And Jesse Marsh loved him, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think Chris liked him so much, but Jesse did love him, and he's very well liked. He came over to us after the game last night, actually, and now I'm thinking about hearing that he got traded. One of the things he said, it was thanks for all your support. Maybe he knew he was going, but we didn't know at the time. So he came over and shook our hands after the game last night. He was the only player who did that, actually. So come to think about it, I think he knew he was leaving. Yeah.
It all adds up.
It all adds up.
We don't think about these sort of things, do
Right.
you?
No.
When these sort of things happen, you think, oh.
Right.
So that's quite. I'm not shocked because you got last
night. We spoke earlier, right? Okay, we got money. What are we gonna do with it?
What we're gonna do with it? That's the thing. We're now. What's the time in the US now, Keith?
The time right now is 3:11.
3:11. The deadline day shuts at 12 a.m. So we've got about 7 8 hours.
Yeah, and a bit.
Don't lose any sleep.
Get defender in.
Yeah, don't lose any sleep.
I'm gonna be up. We're gonna be up to midnight.
Don't lose any sleep.
And this is a good time for a bit of a plug, I think. You can find out all the latest news at RBNYUK.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a good time to do a little plug, I think, don't you? Get that cheeky plug in. So we're moving on from Durant Stadium. We've got a photo somewhere that's now gone because we're looking at the 5 below thing. Let me go back it up. Sorry, you talk for a bit, Ronnie, while I find it.
Oh, no, yeah, just touching on about Villa. I have to speak for every Red Bull fan here when I say do it. Just wish him all the best in health more than anything.
Yeah.
We just want him to get serious game time under his feet because he deserves it. He's been a brilliant servant, and the 2 ACL tests was horrid to see, especially how positive he was coming back off the first one, his rehabilitation. Then when he done the second one, but he was one of them players as well that a bad word never really come out about him, and I think it was a testament to his character at RBNY that it don't matter if he was playing for the first team or the 2, that he always gave his all. And he's a player that'd be sad to see missed, but hopefully when we do see him playing for Cincinnati, he's on the pitch healthy and getting some serious game time. Yeah,
I agree 100%. He lovely guy. I actually think over the last couple of years we've lost players who are not only great players but just loved by Robles, Dax, these guys would be lovely guys. I mean, oh my goodness me! I've spent a lot of time with Robles. What a gentleman! What a guy! Right? Gives so much time to the fans and stuff like that. So when they leave, it's a big hole, and not just because of their performance on the field, but what they do off the field. And he was very generous with his time with Robles. Some of the others were not the same, but he was. But we have a player now, Ryan Mira, right? Ryan Mira, our backup goalie. He's been around maybe 9 or 10 years, right? Won the US Championship with the RB2 team. This guy is just a gentleman. He always comes up to me for the game. He comes over like last night. We talk. He just got engaged. We're talking about that. His brother's a fireman, the whole thing. This guy will do. Not this game, the New England game. One of the balls went into the stands and hit a lady in the face. Right, really bad. Hit her right in the face. And he rushed over. He got the trainer from the team to come over in warm-ups. This was got the trainer in the team to come over and take care of her, right? And funny. Yesterday when they started warming up, he went over to her and said, "Watch," and he stood in front of her with his arms up just to make sure she was like, just a really nice guy, you know. And Flo's one of those guys. He's just a real nice guy, and you're 100%. If he can keep healthy, it would be great for him, and I think he'll do well in Cincinnati.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, a really good thing, I'm really glad you talk about Robles. We actually now moving on to when you met Zoe's Robles. This is you, Robles.
There he is. That's his goodbye. That's his good. That's his goodbye event we had. Yeah.
Zoe's Robles. He's not that bad. He's the best goalkeeper Red Bulls ever had.
Well, people argue about that. They say Timmy Howard was better than him, but I disagree.
I would say Tim Howard's probably a better goalkeeper, but Lewis did more for Red Bulls.
Correct.
I think that's a fair argument.
Correct.
Lewis Robles, obviously also he came in as a third choice and became in third choice in 2012. Ryan Mera was. He was
2 weeks away from being out of football. You know that, right?
Exactly. 2 weeks of being out of professional football.
Yep.
Signed up to be a realtor. Was it? Signed for something. It sounded like something different.
Yeah.
And then went to one of the longest streak of games to become an MLS Ironman. Was it 183? Something crazy
Something
like
like
that.
Something
You
like
think
that.
about it, that's not normal. That's not normal in professional soccer. It's very rarely in professional.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in the Premier League, who would be the Ironman goalkeeper in the Premier League in the last 10, 15 years? I'm trying to think.
Please say Peter Cech.
Oh yeah, but he got smacked in the head pretty hard. That was the end of that was the end of that for a while, right? Probably Peter Cech. Probably. What about Kenny? What about the guy from Arsenal? Our Arsenal friend who know there.
David Seaman.
David Seaman. He was in between the posts for a long time, right?
Yeah.
He was. I like David Seaman too. Him in his ponytail. But it's I think one thing about the US, they do produce great goalkeepers, and it's very interesting. I don't know if you know this, but like Timmy Howard was drafted by the basketball out of school, right? Yeah. Same as all the goalkeepers were very good basketball players. And you think about it, what do they do with basketball? They use their hands, right? Okay, right. So we've had a great success with some really good keepers in the US. Tony Meola, probably the first one that came to attention, right? Casey Keller. Who's the other one? I'm trying to think the other one who played for Jimmy Howard, but there's one before that. He's an announcer now. I'm trying to think of his name. But anyway, he's some really good goalkeepers. And we have a couple of good goalkeepers now too, in the US. But
so you met Lewis Robles. You mentioned Lewis Robles.
Mm-hmm.
Just such a great guy. Like,
my
game I came out to was the DC game. It was the final home game of the season.
Okay.
2019.
All right.
And I think by then, we didn't know about Bradley Phillips then.
Mm-hmm.
But I had pretty much guessed it would be Robles last season because he was 35. He was playing. His knee had been pretty much shot by then, and so I thought I sort of knew Robles went within a match longer, and I was really glad I got to see Robles about Phillips before we left because, well, you think about this era we had. We know we knew him, but you think of the Jesse March era, even before that, the successful year, should we say, we winning three shields. Bradley Phillips and Lewis Robles are like the pillar of that, along with I would also say Das McCarthy. Like them three players have like pillars of that era. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah. Without Bradley scoring 24 goals or whatever it was, and without Robles between the pipes, right, we wouldn't have won those supporter shields, right?
No.
But it was not only the performance on the field that it's Robles was the captain. I never liked a goalkeeper being the captain actually, but he took that role. Encouraged, the encouragement. You could see the encouragement he gave, especially the younger players. Right, they would listen to everything he would say. I mean, he'd be on a corner, he'd be in the net, he'd be screaming at them, right, screaming at them to where to go. They I don't know if you know the not now, Alex. The not now, Alex.
Yes.
Right. Well, I was going to say, but right. Alex Mule bent over to do his shoelaces up in the corner, and he screams at him, "Not effing now, Alex!" Right, and but he had that effect, and he was just a great player. Thierry Henry, right? Let's be honest. Nobody had heard of Bradley Wright Phillips when he came in, right? They've heard of his brother, but they never heard of him, right? All right. Nobody expected. Nobody, not even the front office, the coaches. Nobody expected him to do as well as he did, right? But a lot of that was due to Henry, right? Because Henry made Bradley Wright Phillips a better player, right? Without a shadow of a doubt. But Henry says about Bradley, he scored 25 goals. He should have scored 50. Right, because because he used to miss a lot of goals. Right, he used to score a lot of goals, but my God, he used to miss a lot too. And of course, he never really scored that big winning goal in a big game. He was always short on that. But they did him bad in the end. They retired his number, a season before that, and the whole thing. It just didn't make sense to me, all that. Had a big ceremony about retiring his jersey and the whole thing. You do that when somebody leaves. You do that when somebody's still playing.
Definitely.
But when he scored that 100th goal and he took off his jersey and I thought that was class. That was classic, and they had a timer in the stadium. Every time he scored, they turn it over.
A lot of goals. And he's still doing it now. Still doing it now in MLS. He's still doing it. He's not quite like he was 2 years ago.
Well, listen, they picked him up to cover Zardes when Zardes was away in the Gold Cup, and he did the job, and he did it pretty well. So, but I wish he was still with us. I'd take him off the bench for the last 20 minutes of any game right now. So, but anyway, it is what it is.
What it is, you can't change these sort of things. I know it's going to be sad. We had to talk about bits years Red Bull again. I know it's sad. I know we don't want to. I know we look back at the previous times when everything was glad and brilliant. But we've got Chicago this weekend.
Yeah.
It's at what's it called now?
Soldiers Field, is it? I don't know what it is.
It's not the old place anymore, have they? They've moved again.
Yeah,
Field again now.
So that's Soldiers Field again. Is it on TV? Do we know?
It's on Premier Sports 1 for any.
We can't watch it. So that's a premium one, so we can't watch it. There's a good kickoff for us. It's 11 p.m. kickoff for us. That's as close as that's like close to as our normal kickoff time we get here. So I don't mind that. So we'll find a way to watch that somehow. I don't know how, but we'll find a way.
Well, they played last night to a 0-0 draw last night. I just watched some of the highlights this morning. It wasn't great. They've been playing okay. You have to think that coach will have our players up for that game, especially after last night. It's a bit of a trip to Chicago, so they probably fly out on Friday because of the COVID and stuff. They'll fly out on Friday. I will tell you, the COVID's coming back here quite a bit, so a lot of states are now having a mask mandate and all that sort of stuff back in. So that's in everybody's mind. But if you ask me, will we win? I would think we probably will. I was more confident last night before the game, but I cannot imagine the team not being up for this game against Chicago. I cannot imagine it.
I think the team needs to be up for it.
All our games this season, the rest of the games are going to be must-win games if we're going to make the playoffs, right? This is a must-win game, right? Because we can't lose 3 games in a row in the manner in which we lose. Even if it's a 5-4 thriller, we score 5 goals and lose 5-4, we can't do that. We have to win this game. And I don't know what the answer. Defense will hold. Hopefully, Royer can be back on the bench at least, and we can bring Royer off the bench because we're really missing Royer right now.
That's the thing. That's the main thing. Like our main striker on the bench is Tom Barlow. He's our main striker off the bench. Isn't that quite depressing? Like, no disrespect to Tom. He's a nice guy.
I followed Tom Barlow for a couple of years, right? As I said, I go to the RB2 games, right? And in the USL level, he was tearing up the place. Yeah. I think he scored 22 or 23 goals or something in the full season, right? Anytime they were going in, unbelievable, right? He was playing really, really well. And him and Brian White both, I think, deserved the opportunity to go up to the first team.
Yeah,
but it's not working, right? It's not working, right? Now he's running around last night. He's running around, and then the only chance he gets right at the end there, he fluffs it, right? It's so disappointing. There have been a couple of players in the last few years who've been pillarized by the fan base. Alex Mule was hated, right? Alex Mule, and everybody used to make fun of him. Mule's a donkey and all this sort of stuff, right? Okay, and now it's Barlow, right? Anytime Barlow comes out, the fan base, they just have no faith in this kid, right? Brian White actually played pretty well for a while till the trade, right? He played pretty well. The other guy I was disappointed who left, by the way, was Jason Stroud, right? I like Stroud a lot, and he got traded away. All right. But the question is, who do we start up front on against Chicago? Kamala is still, I think, is probably the option with Fabio, right? But if Kamala can go the full 90, I don't know. The real option, off the bench is Barlow, and I don't think that works.
No, I think especially with the formation that we're playing with at the moment, you've got obviously the two main number 9s and then the two like Carmona and Clark behind him. I don't know. I would be quite interested just to see for a game whether if we just went for one up top in terms of a Fabio or a Kamala, and maybe bring in Frankie and Meyer as like more of a number 10, maybe to try something different. Because obviously at the moment we've got to. It's a bit of a loose end at the moment where we are playing well, we're keeping possession, but it's just not in that final third getting the ball across the line, which is the most important bit. So,
and coach has been speaking about Amaya all week. He's actually touting him as a the next big star and everything. And I was surprised he didn't start yesterday. Actually, no, I agree with you. 4-5, maybe just keep Fabio up top by himself, right? And then Clark and Maya maybe backing him at Caceres maybe. My biggest issue is not defense. Although we're not good in defense, we're actually better in defense than any other position right now. Is that when Tolkien and Duncan go up and play as wing backs, which they actually play more like wingers actually than wing backs, right? They don't get back, right? They don't get back in time. Right, so that leaves Edwards and Sean Davis, who having to go back to clear up the mess. It's great that they go down the wing. It's great they do that, but they got to go back. And a lot of the goals that we've given up in the last few games have been on breakaways because there's no one there to sweep up. Right, and the other thing I don't like, Coronel. He's on the 40-yard line. Why are you standing on the 40-yard line? Get back in your net, for God's sake. Did you see yesterday they tried to chip him? Yeah, they try to chip him. Right, that's going to happen. Right. So I think it's a good idea. Fabio up front by himself, and 4-5-1 type of thing, right? And see how it would go. But again, off the bench, we don't have much of it. Fernandez, no. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Which
is disappointing.
Very lucky in the past that the depth was there. That in worst case situation, there was players to come off the bench to change a game. And I don't know. You can point fingers at everyone's got someone else they want to blame for that. But at the end of the day, when you're building a squad, you've got to look at the depth. And there's always points in the season, no matter how good or how bad you are, that you'll go for either an injury crisis or a lack of form. And sometimes you just need something different. And I've always said it's a lack of wingers in the squad, that you've got a load of players who can play in the middle who can do a job out wide, a Carmona, a Clark. But sometimes you want a winger who's going to stand on the sideline and just runs. He can run up and down, cut in. You see it work so well in the league. If I look at Orlando, for example, with Antonio Ronnie, he does great. He can pick the ball up on the wing and cut in. And having that winger option could be very, very key. But it's just a shame that there's a lack of that at the moment within the setup.
I thought Josh Sims was going to be that guy, by the way. I actually thought he was going to be the guy for a while, and he was disappointed he left. No, you're 100% right. A pure winger, and if it's a left winger, it's even better. But a pure winger, right, we haven't had for a long time. Dave Vandenberg, probably the last winger that we had, right? And he was not a true winger, but he always used to play on a wing. And Lloyd Sam as well. He used to come down that wing, right? Yeah, I agree with you 100%. These wingbacks, wingbacks, I don't know. I never grew up with a wingback, but these fullbacks, they're called wingbacks now, whatever, right? Kemar Lawrence used to do it, but he had the speed and the know-how to get back, right? Tolkien's young, Duncan's young, and it's great to press, and the coach wants them to do that, but too many times they're leaving gaps at the back. That worries me. So that worries me, and the fact that we have no 500 million 100 million pounds. So that's $135 million.
Yeah.
He's not worth that, guys.
He's worth what? He's worth whatever further month from him.
No, I'm just telling you, he's not worth that.
No, he's not. No.
You know, so what? If he's worth that, how much is Harry Kane worth then?
Exactly.
But if he's worth 100 million, how much is Barlow worth? I would say 150 million, to say the least.
Don't get me going. Listen, don't get me going, Ronnie. I've been trying to stay calm here, you know, and not swear and be very nice. But there is a player called Sowe. He plays for Rebel 2. He's an attacking player. I think he has better skills on the ball than Barlow. He's a big kid. He's strong. The only thing, he has a bit of a temper on him, so he tends up getting a lot of yellow cards and stuff. But right now, I think he's worth throwing him up there and giving him a shot. Jurgensen's down there. You don't want Jurgensen. There's a guy called Raffanello who's has the goal of the week on USO. You know, he's pretty good. But the rest are very young, very, very young. We have 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, so they're very young. But I'd give Sowe a shot, maybe. They're not going to do it, I don't think. But I would give him a shot. He can't do any worse than Barlow, can he?
Exactly.
You know,
and that's the whole point of the Red Bull 2 side is developing the future as it's labelled. And what is, at the end of the day, if you've got a good young player coming through, give him a go, because it's not like they're afraid to use young players, because we've got, obviously, Tolkien's just had his birthday, so he's 19. You've got a couple of 18-year-olds starting, a couple of 20, 21-year-olds. Yeah. It's no harm sometimes trying to use players, because you can have a breakout star, and then, bang, you've got someone new for your squad. Or if it don't work, you say, right, we'll develop you a bit more in the twos, and then you'll come back in pre-season next year and give it a go again.
But Ronnie, we will mention this before you were hit on board, right? The problem is you can have all these young players, and that's fine, right? But you need one or two veteran players 100%. On the team, because they keep everything together. They keep the young kids in line. We have not. Sean Davis is a. Again, I promised I wasn't going to mention Sean Davis, but I'm not a Sean Davis fan. But you know, he's the captain. And you know, how old is he? 26 or something? I don't know. Right. We need a couple of seasoned pros in there, 30, 31, 32-year-old guys have been around, right? You know, they can take the knocks. They can help solidify this team, and we just don't have that. We've got rid of the guys, but we didn't replace them with anything. You know, we got money for Verlo today. Let's go get somebody. Go get somebody. You know, somebody sitting on a bench who's not getting playing time, who wants to play. Go get him in. Get him. And for some reason, there's the reluctance to do that. And we talked about it at the beginning of the show, right? Fans are leaving droves, man. They just don't get it, you know. You know, I'm not going anywhere, but you know, it's just people work hard for their money. They pay their season tickets. They want to go and they want to see a winning team, right? But they want to see people give an effort. Last night, I left there thinking they didn't try, all right? They just didn't try, which is tough. It's tough to watch.
It's not good. It's pretty obvious to say it's not very good right now. That's pretty obvious right now. It's not great at the moment. I think they will make the playoffs. I think we're just about getting there. I think they might just sneak in.
I don't know. I think you're being very.
I mean, they're optimistic, but I'm very optimistic in nature. I think they'll just about sneak in if they've got a good run together.
That's the thing. They need to butt their ideas up to be able to get into that form.
I'll tell you what. If they lose in Chicago, and then who do we have next? We have Miami, I think, coming up, right? Miami and NYFC, right? So we've got to get at least 6 points out of those three games.
Definitely. To get 6 points, it's not going to be easy. We know that. Next week there'll be no podcast. Ronnie will be here again, and it's going to be. We'll do it up on Tuesday next week. I'm back in the office next week. So next Wednesday and Thursday at this time, I might just get home out of between stuck in the traffic coming back from London. So I said we'll be recording on Tuesday, break on Tuesday. We're going to be joined by one and only Gary Redman of RB.
Gary's a very good friend of mine.
Gary's great.
And he's a good guy. So you'll enjoy Gary. Very knowledgeable.
I've had him before. He's a great guy. I love Gary a lot.
Very knowledgeable. In fact, I did a Facebook thing with him on the RB2 game, so I'll be doing that with him on Friday. So,
is that the what's it called? Match.
Whatever it's called. Yeah.
I like to watch. I do stay involved in that.
Rebel 2 games. He does the discussion group, and I do all the BS during the game. Right, I try and watch the game, and I'm on my phone most of the time. So, But listen, before we hang up, I gotta tell you something. Right, first of all, I've really enjoyed meeting you guys and speaking with you. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. When you come to over for a game. I'm inviting you on behalf of the Viking Army Supporters Group, okay, to come out to the tailgate, okay. You will get a scarf, you get all the T-shirts, you get all the stuff, you get drunk out your head, okay, and you'll enjoy yourself with the Viking Army, okay, and we'll get you on the field before the game, okay, and you'll get to meet Fernando, the kit man, all those guys. Will take care of you. So when you come, let me know, and we'll take care of you.
It'll be soon. When the borders are open.
All right, man.
When the borders are open, we'll be there. You can't keep us away. So, as I said, it's about it today. One thing before we go, I'm going to ask you for a score prediction. Not going to go at a score prediction.
2-1 win.
2-1 win. Okay, I'm going for a 3-2 win. I'm not too confident of not leaking goals. What about you, Ronnie?
I don't want to be the dampener of the mood, but I'm going to take a score draw. I'm going to say 1-1, and I'm going to be, and then we're going to take that form in, and then there's a certain team in light blue 3 games away that we're going to just build up slowly, and then we're going to destroy them. Hopefully. Yeah. But I'm going to say score draw. But I think I could see us nicking the 3. I think it's time for all the fans to stop the brief meltdown, be positive, and then there'll be another meltdown at some point.
Hopefully.
Next time we talk, Ryan, let me tell you about what happened to me at Highbury one time. You'll never believe what happened to me one time. I'll tell you all about that.
I look forward to it.
It's been a pleasure having you on, Keith. Absolutely pleasure. I'll get you on again. Got far more. Maybe I'm optimistic here. It might be a MLS Cup final.
Oh, here we optimistic.
My God.
So optimistic.
I'm joking. We'll get you on again soon. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, man. All the best.
Thank you for sending us those photos on match day. It makes that feel like we're
no problem. I'll keep doing it.
We're there, but not quite. So make sure to keep running, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
So of course that is pretty much nearly the end of our show. You can join us again next week. Next week will be a super-sized episode. I know I'm saying that we nearly at 1 minute 40, so it'll probably be about the same sort of size. But we can have 2 guests. We're going to be talking to Gary Redman. As we look back on the Chicago game, hopefully win, and we could be joined by NYCFC guest as we preview the first Hudson River derby of the season. It's a big one, and Red Bull need points if we want to get into the playoffs. Thank you very much for listening on whatever platform you're on. Thank you for getting involved. Thank you for keep coming on. Thank you to Scott, who tried to lead due to technical issues. Thank you for Ronnie for popping at the last minute when I sent you a message on WhatsApp.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. It's time to our critics.